Okay. Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner, classic known classics. This is episode number 3315, Doubleshot number 3209. I have pretty much two Marvel trades here. You're thinking, really? Two Marvel? It's been a bit since you had Marvel. Yeah, probably because basically that, because mostly put all of you lately just Image, IDW, Image, IDW, Dark Horse, and I think that's mostly been it when it comes to trades I've reviewed lately. So first we're going back to the year 2001. Okay. Well, mostly put just late 2000, early 2001 to an initiative that was not popular with Marvel readers, from what I've heard. It was a financial disaster for Marvel. But the book basically ended nulling out. This book ended nulling after this initiative happened. We have X-Force. This is Counter-X X-Force Range War, which collects X-Force 110 to 115. This book claims Warren Ellis is co-writing these issues. And yet, here is one small problem. He does not write any of these issues. It's Ian Edgerton. Some of you probably asking, why? Why do Marvel claim that Warren Ellis is writing these issues even though he is not credited for these issues? You see, Warren Ellis was technically writing these issues, but after issue 109, he left the book. The reason for this? No idea, because I never met Warren Ellis, so I don't really know. And sadly put, when it comes to the writer of these issues, this you might find interesting. Once these issues finished wrapped up, he left the book. And then did two issues, Ian Edgerton, he did 2 issues of X Unlimited, and he did some stuff that clicked in the Epic Collection Star Wars Legends Rise of the Sith, which he was one of the writers of one of the books basically collected here. And some of you might be curious, what was the first book Ian Edgerton worked on Marvel? Well, the earliest credited book that he worked on was X-Men Unlimited, 2099 Unlimited, number 4. He wrote the story, La Karma 2099. She was a character who was, well, she's a vampire who later appeared in issue Doom. So, what happens in these issues? Now, I say Counter-X basically was a failed experiment because stuff I've read basically says that this thing nearly killed the X-Books. Because not a lot of people were fans in this shit. Basically, it was books that was not X-Men or Uncanny or Wolverine. Because this was a weird time for X-Men. And just by weird coincidence, 14 issues, basically this book managed to last for 14 more issues, and the book ended, got relaunched a couple years later as a miniseries, and then no one saw this book until 2007. Under a new creative team of Chris Yost, Craig Kyle, and Clayton Crane. So first up, we have the Range War stuff, which we have starts at 110. Now, X-Force at this period of time, which by the way, the artwork here is done by Jorge Lewis. The team is not the same when the book first started, because during the first few years, the book was amazing. I love those early issues of X-Force. But here's kind of the weird thing. So, in the opening issue of this is your lineup. Cannonball, Domino, James Proudstar, Melton, aka Boom Boom, and James Bedlam. Okay, some people probably heard from me with Cannonball, Domino, James Proudstar, brother of John Proudstar, and Meltdown. Of course, Domino joins, and you're probably thinking, who the heck is Jesse Bedlam? This was a character created by John Francis Moore, who, for some weird reason, not really sure why, they had him first appear in issue 82, where he basically just is here, then later he becomes part of the roster, and he's part of this group until issue 115, and then he pops up in Kenny X-Men, where he's basically crucified. And then he was brought back under Ben Percy's X-Force book, which, by the way, that was in 2019, that issue came out. The November issue came out 2 years after the last issue of this book came out. So basically, the character disappeared for 2 years, and then he pops up again in Kenny X where he dies. So, we also have this new original character who appears in this book here. A character by the name of Valentina Rinko, who in this book seems like she's in a relationship with Cannonball. Just stuff happening. We have, okay, so this chick here, that's Boom Boom. People are thinking, what? That's Boom Boom. Yep, that's Boom Boom. Some are thinking, why in the world is she wearing her underwear like that? Teenage girls. Now you can tell, yeah, that's Domino. People are thinking, where's her outfit? Well, this is the period of time where they ditched the uniforms, because after Cable left the book with issue 70, basically X-Force did very weird things. Like, they went on the road and summoned members. Now, the thing is, into issue 70, the book was actually really good. And then the book just became not the same. It's like, not sure what happened with this book, basically, once Cable left the book. So, also, by the way, do you know who the man is with the blonde hair and goatee? That's Cannonball. You're like, wait a minute, why in the world does Cannonball have a goatee? Don't really know. And I'm not really thinking of the artwork here, or it's mostly put just more weird stuff with all this radiation, and again gets affected by S.H.I.E.L.D., which, this is a S.H.I.E.L.D. helicarrier. I look at this thing, and I'm like, that is not a S.H.I.E.L.D. helicarrier. It looks too bizarre. It's like, this looks like a spaceship. Why the heck would they claim this is basically S.H.I.E.L.D. helicarrier? I have no idea. It's weird. And then basically we have the members of X-Force survive this explosion. There's more weird stuff happening here. There's bug stuff, and eventually Nick Fury's involved. Somehow, some way he is. And here's Nick Fury, drawn by this artist, and he looks okay. And there's the helicarrier. You look at this thing, it looks like a gunship. Yeah, I have no idea why in the world they decided to redesign this damn thing. It just... And like, okay, so oh yeah, we have this place shut down, and apparently the UN Council, which, yeah, either part of UN, so then we have this laboratory stuff, and this Range War storyline is just weird. And then, for some weird reason, with issue 3, Jorge Lucas draws, apparently he must have gotten notes from editorial, because Nick Fury looks a lot better under his artwork, because here's the thing. This is him at 112. You're like, okay, that's okay, but that looks better. That looks more like Jack Kirby. I'm guessing probably someone editorial at the time must have told, excuse me, Jorge, can you please draw Nick Fury like how Jack Kirby drew him? I'm sure he's like, sure, no problem. So then we have these shield cars show up. And someone might be thinking, Nick, where's Cable? Not here. Once he left the book, he never returned to this book. Never did. Because they just wanted the group to be on their own. And you might be thinking, reading these issues, like, where are the X-Men? Not here. They're off doing their own thing. And then for some weird reason, characters are looking more like how Jack Kirby drew him. Like if Jack Kirby was drawing, like maybe it was a love letter in 2001, which that was 8 years after the man passed away. So then we have, I think there's some SHIELD agent. I'm not sure who this is. Fires turret guns. Apparently, some Jimmy could be John Proudstar. More weird people. And book gun's just so weird, involving aliens. I like the covers. I enjoyed the covers of this book. But my gosh, then we have this Empath storyline, which still is the same creator. And I still wonder why the heck they credited now. This artwork looks much better. It's like it was not the good for the start, and then it gets much better. Here's Boom Boom. I think it's actually it's Tabitha. It's Valentine. They also have Domino, who's topless, and then she puts her top back on. Yeah, it's like the artwork. It's like at the start of it, the artwork is not good, and then it gets improved. It's like, and then we have this black bald woman just randomly take down an airplane. And some of you probably asking the immediate question, who the heck is this lady here? This is a woman named Corbin. And she is an assassin. Oh, and by the way, the main villain of these issues is a woman named Romany Wisdom. You're probably thinking, who the heck is this lady? Pete Wisdom's sister. No, seriously. She is, in fact, his sister. Who, for some weird reason, after appearing in Pete Wisdom miniseries for a couple issues, Union Jack, she would just randomly insert these issues for a couple issues, and then she just dies. Yeah, Corbin is here for a single appearance, take on an airplane, and then you have, it looks like it's John Proudstar fighting her in the sky while she's lighting a cigarette, and they fight for a while, and then she just is like, it's like, okay, so Truth About Corbin, and then move on to the next issue, where for some reason John Proudstar is smashing up London. And then we have, for some weird reason, we have Domino with her face scarred up. You're like, what happened? Somehow she survived the explosion. And then we have supposedly a flashback. And by the end of this, basically, Pete Wisdom's sister was killed off here. Yeah. Supposedly, anyways, but they never really confirm it. It just abruptly ends. My guess is someone at Marvel must have realized this particular era was not working. So they're probably like, okay, let's keep them going for a bit. Let's do a fresh start with a brand new team. So Aiden Edge leaves the book. So what do I think of this book? Well, my honest opinion, it's honestly not that good. Not really. It's terrible. This is probably by far a low point for X-Force. Lucky enough, basically, that the original creative team behind the book comes back after this. But sadly put, basically, here's a little fun fact about 115. That is the last time this book features the original roster. Because with the very next issue of the series, issue 116, the team gets replaced by the team to be known as Ecstatic, who briefly call themselves X-Force until the real X-Force comes back and tell them, please don't use that name, we own it, and then the book gets relaunched as Ecstatic. Which, when it took over the book, with 116, it managed to last for a good 14 issues. And then the book got relaunched as Ecstatic for about 2 years, ended, had a miniseries, and then they've kind of brought back recently with a couple of different books, and not much else for them. But don't worry, X-Force are coming back just a couple years later, so we don't have to worry about X-Force. Like just the following year they came back. I think the reason why Marvel did a miniseries when they brought back the original creative team is because they must have realized, though, this era was not very good. It's like Warren Ellis, they apparently brought Warren Ellis in to remake the universe, the X universe, but clearly it did not work. Yeah, it did not work. Why in the world they brought him in for this? I don't know. It's not the only book he worked on that, for some weird reason, it's like he had sort of a bad luck when he did comic books. It's like he comes in and the book gets canceled within like a year or two. Here's the first book, for example, Hailstorm, Prince of Lies. He comes on with issue number 12. The book gets canceled with issue number 21. The only book that was actually just under him was probably Doom 29. He also did Excalibur. He also did Doctor Strange, Thor, which is one with Thor was really weird. He did a Storm miniseries. It's like he was all over the place. Some might be thinking, heck, the only other book I could think it was successful under him was probably Thunderbolts. Some might ask the question, like, what was the last book he worked on? The last official book he worked on Marvel was Karnak. 8 years ago. That was the last book he worked on. Here's the problem with Karnak. The book was heavily delayed for no reason. It took almost 2 years to release 6 frickin' issues. Who knows what the reason for that is. I give this book roughly a 6 out of 10. I do like the artwork though. At the start it wasn't that good, but this goes better. But I think Marvel made a mistake by crediting Warren Ellis for these issues, despite the fact he didn't write them. It was all Ian Edgerton. Lie. Next is something much better, Annihilation, Scourge. And can you believe this only came out roughly 6 years ago? Yeah, this is most of a series of one-shots. You have Annihilation, Scourge, Alpha, Fantastic Four, Nova, Silver Surfer, Beta Ray Bill, and Omega. Excuse me. Here are your writers. You have Matthew Rosenberg, who wrote the Alpha Omega one-shots, and Nova. Beta Ray Bill, Michael Morcieri, Fantastic Four, Christos Gage, and Dan Abbott's Fantastic Four, which this book does reference Silver Surfer Black, which is done by Donny Coates. So, you think with Annihilation, you think, oh, is Nihilus playing an Irish wave? No, we have Battlestar, which is interesting. No mention of his palace. Nope. Did you know after the events of, I think it was Civil War 1, when apparently for some weird reason, Tony Stark decided to abandon Prison 42, the one in the negative zone, just abandoned it for no reason, and then Battlestar took over the place in Guardians of the Galaxy. So we had these weird creatures show up here. This will surprise you where the heck these things came from. and something's invaded the negative zone. And of course, they fight this stuff off, of course. And then they show up. The Ravengers. No, it's not Wonder Man's team. And you read it's like, oh crap, the Cancerverse is back! First time they appeared since Nova. Yeah, that's a bit of a surprise. I don't think anybody expected the Cancerverse to return in the negative zone. The Ravengers just evil Avengers. Which is weird that they're back because I think anybody could point out though, I thought the Cancerverse was dead. I thought it was destroyed. It keeps coming back somehow. It keeps getting reopened. And then basically there's a ping in the Baxter building, and then we see Silver Surfer, we see Beta Ray Bill and Lockjaw, and then for some weird reason, not sure why this is, so Rich already got drunk and vomited. He thought it was basically urinal. Nope, ventilation system. And then he washed his face off, which he finds out from Cosmo. Yeah, Cosmo the Space Dog. It turns out this actually is a toilet. Ugh. Like, oh, it's a toilet. Damn. Only bar for 2. Ventilation. Oh, crap. Oh, an alarm. And then we have Rich Ray go out like, oh, crap. It's probably, you probably think it's an Annihilation Wave again. Nope, it's not an Annihilation Wave. And then Battlestar is attacked by the Sentry. It's like you look at him like, yeah, that's a Sentry, but the way he acts, it's not Sentry. They don't say who actually really is in the driver's seat of this. It's actually the Void. Yeah, the Void is in control. As for why they don't say it's the Void, even though it clearly is the Void, because somebody thinking, wait, I thought Sentry was dead. It's kind of weird. I think if I remember correctly, I believe this was released like prior to his death. I believe so, because this was released in 2019 because, well, I thought he died. This was released a couple years prior to his death. Yeah, as for, yeah, even though they say, yeah, I was right, it is definitely the Void. Which last time appeared, let's see. That's not going to help me. So yeah, the Void. Yeah, apparently he is the Scourge of Negative Zone. Yeah. Which, last time he appeared was Black Panther and the Agents of Wakanda. Which, yeah, that's interesting, yeah. So, the last time he died was actually, he got killed off in Siege. And then he was brought back as a Horseman of Death. And then nothing for him for a while. And then he was brought back in Donny Cates' Doctor Strange book. And then he returned in his own miniseries. Then he appeared in, well, Black Panther, Age of Wakanda. So yeah, then we move on to Fantastic Four, where they're just chillaxing, and then people come out and they give us like, what the heck is going on? It's like being consumed by the Cancerverse. Now the thing is, Richards has no experience with the Cancerverse at all. I'm sure Richards was probably informed about it. And they say, oh look, it's Crystal. Nope, she's possessed. Yep, and then the Fantastic Four get possessed by the Cancerverse for some weird reason. Yep, so And then the Cancerverse takes over the Fantastic Four. And yeah, it becomes crazy. Actually, it's more like Rabbit Eat Cancerverse, and of course they go out. And by the way, they're wearing the blue uniforms from the Dan Slott run for Fantastic Four, which is awesome. And then we go to Nova, which basically covers a lot of major Nova stuff. Okay, so I'm gonna have to stop here because I got to Nova, which is about halfway through the book. I'm like about halfway through, so I'm gonna have to stop there because dinner is ready. Okay, but here's the next video. Bye.